They say you need to make people interested in your video in like the first 5 seconds. So here's a picture of the most interesting man in the world. Hey, hi, how you doing? I'm Jaker, and welcome to a video of extreme importance. My personal experience with YouTube. I don't know how long it's been since I've really taken the stroll down memory lane with the kind of content I used to watch on YouTube back in the day. I started watching in somewhere around 2010 before starting to make videos of my own in around 2012. It was an entirely different landscape to what it is today. I'm definitely at the older end of people that got into YouTube as it was starting to come up. I was 20 years old in 2010, and I was 22 when I started uploading videos in 2012. In that 2 years in between, what was I watching on YouTube? For some reason, it was Minecraft. Okay, I say for some reason because, yeah, it's embarrassing now to look back on it. But at the same time, there was a good reason, I feel like, at the time I was watching that. Because a lot of those channels that did Minecraft videos, Let's Plays, things like that, a lot of them were a lot of fun because they had a lot of people that were involved and they were making content together. And it felt like you're watching a group of friends be a group of friends. And that's before YouTube kind of became this whole business landscape where everybody's a business now. So just so we're clear, when I say Minecraft content, I'm not talking about, man leaves house, punches tree, builds house, next day man goes farming. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that kind of Let's Play content. It was like MLG Haunt playing like multiplayer games with people, doing skits and machinimas and things like that. It was actually good content when he did it. Unfortunately, he wiped out his entire backlog, so there's not much I can even show of it anymore.
Wait for it. There's nothing to wait for, Tyler. It's just a spung.
But then there was also a guy named Rage, I think it was Rage Plays, that they did this Minecraft build-off series where he'd have fans come on and they would all be able to like compete and build off. He had some friends of his that would compete with him. There was just a decent variety of content back then when it came to just Minecraft, even with a couple of people, and it wasn't the same basic gameplay as everybody else. It felt more like a game show in a good way. And that's most of what I was into for the first 2 years or so of me being on YouTube, even as a viewer. When I started getting into content, making my own content in like 2012, I did start getting into things like Epic Mealtime and things like that were a little bit more out, like a broader range, and started really enjoying the whole experience of the platform. I remember so many different nights where me and my buddies that I had made playing Minecraft, we would just sit in a Skype call or something. I feel like this isn't a thing as much anymore because of the way the algorithm works, but I feel like you used to be able to go down these like massive click holes of random videos that would just be fed to you by YouTube. And no, I'm not talking about the pipeline.
Or rabbit hole, whichever you like to say.
I feel like now it doesn't really do that because it feeds you so much similar stuff to things you're recently looking up or what you're already looking at. But back then, you would just hop from really ridiculous video to really ridiculous video. You'd hop from like a parody song and then just go down this, you'd end up on that side of YouTube. That's the crazy thing. I don't feel like that side of YouTube is as easy to get to anymore. It's almost like the dark web now. Between cooking videos and rap battles, there was just a ton of epic content. One thing I kind of missed from like the 2013, 2014 years, I'd say, is probably the Q&A thing. I feel like there's not really a whole lot of fun Q&A content anymore, but it used to be like a real common thing to do, and it used to be really entertaining when they did it right. But I gotta be honest, I don't really remember much from 2013, 2014, or 2015. I don't remember much at all. What I do remember was the peak of YouTube was 2016 to 2018. I feel like 2016 to 2018 is probably when the most people found out about guys like Filthy Frank, Max Mofo, iDubbbz. PewDiePie was in his Filthy Frank phase, whether that be for better or worse.
What a fucking cracker.
From what I've seen, it seems like most people can agree that this is probably the peak of YouTube. Almost everybody that was doing well on the platform was making a ton of cash. There wasn't a whole lot of restrictions on the platform yet from the YouTube putting like age restriction and things like that heavily in enforcement. There was some issues, but they weren't nearly as bad as they are today in that regard. There was a lot of drama content at this time, but a lot of it was more fun and roasty, and it wasn't like super serious like it is now. I mean, nowadays everyone's always focused on like harassment this, harassment that, but like even tiny little things are blown up into being like these big dramas that are taken super seriously, and everyone is super analyzes everything super deep into the minor details. The whole Eugenia Cooney situation from a few months ago is a prime example of that. 2016 to 2018 was the end of the Wild West. It went from being able to do pretty much whatever you want as long as you weren't showing nudity or really putting anyone in any actual danger, to all of a sudden everyone had to really watch what they said and be really careful all the time. Well, if you wanted to remain monetized or be pushed in the algorithm anyway. One of my favorite channels from this period of time was CalChop. I used to love watching their videos because it was a combination of different elements that you didn't really get anywhere else on the platform. And they were actually referred to as the jackass of YouTube by quite a few different people.
have like an ad read or something for this part?
CalChop had a really great mix of variety on their channel, and one of the things that made even their gameplay stand out was that they dressed up in costumes and they had a lot of fun with it, but also they would have cameramen shooting them. It wasn't just a static camera stuck to the top of the TV and it was just stuck in the bottom corner. They did a lot more with the cameras and with what they had available to them at the time than anyone else that I had seen. To compare it to something a little bit more current that you may have actually seen, I would say it reminds me a little bit of how Cold Ones does their podcast and their videos, where they have one or two cameras that are set in place on tripods, but then one or two cameramen are just having fun, free moving around so they can move around on set and not have to worry about being out of the frame. Another channel I liked during, I would say, late 2016 would have been SourceFed. SourceFed, I know a lot of people have mixed feelings on SourceFed. I personally liked the last iteration of SourceFed that they had the best. Steven Suptic, Mike Falzone, and I can't remember the rest of the crew's names off the top of my head, but there was just such a good cast. They had their table talk and their podcast that were funny. It was such a good time. I enjoyed so much of that content, and I was so disappointed when those jokes stopped flowing. It was so much fun. But at the same time, I have to be kind of glad that it died, because a channel I liked even more for a long time popped up because of the death of SourceFed. Steven Suptic, who was a member of SourceFed, had gone back to his main channel and started uploading a series called Antisocial, which then turned into Sugar Pine 7. Sugar Pine 7 was so much fun for me, especially because in that first season, it was kind of like a sitcom where they basically did what Curb Your Enthusiasm does. They have a concept, a plot, and then apparently most of it's improv and there's not a whole lot of actual direct planning. I don't know all the details on how Curb Your Enthusiasm does it, but apparently with Sugar Pine 7, basically they had a basic concept. They knew exactly what the basic goal was for the day. They go to a place and the whole bit is revolving around that place they're going, and that was pretty much it.
But we're gonna search around this area and see if there's some place that we can get in and find Kib a transmission.
Trying to escape from the sun, we hopped inside of an old Honda.
Oh, it's a good year, though. Oh, dude, junkyard cookies. Nice. Junkyard cookies are not so good. Sandwich cream. What are those from like the 80s, dude?
The first year or so of that show was so good, and it did so well, and I was really hoping they would keep going, and eventually they just kind of fizzled out, and it didn't really work out anymore. And at that time, they had a contract with Rooster Teeth and all this other stuff, so it made it even more complicated and messy. I especially loved episodes when CalChop and Sugar Pine 7 would actually cross over, because they were both kind of more or less partnered with Rooster Teeth, and it just made sense for them on multiple levels to work together. And then obviously in this period of time, you had H3 in his prime, and you had iDubbbz in his prime with the Content Cop, and everything was just all such good content. You had the unboxing craze that had happened during this period of time was really good. You had a lot of creators that would make fun unboxing videos. I guess the best way to say it is I feel like 2016 to 2018 was the last time that YouTube really felt like it had personality. Like when you watched a fan interaction video, like fan mail unboxing or fan Q&A, you actually were just watching the creator and their personality. Whereas now it feels like there's a lot less of that somehow. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, I don't know. I guess this video is just kind of supposed to be a little bit of a love letter to the past. Like there was all these creators I used to like watching, and they made really fun content, and a lot of that content just isn't there anymore. The platform has changed dramatically, and there are some, but just not as many. And I guess I could relate it a little bit to like when SNL and Mad TV were both on the air at the same time. SNL and Mad TV were both skit shows, like sketches, and they both had an element of music, an element of recorded bits and celebrity cameos and all this other stuff. But at the same time, they had a very different delivery and a different market that they were going for. Personally, I was always more of a fan of Mad TV. I always thought they were funnier because they took more risks with their jokes. But at the same time, SNL stood the test of time, for whatever that's worth today. Unfortunately for me as a fan of their content, Filthy Frank, CalChop, Sugar Pine 7, and the old iDubbbz, their content is like the Mad TV of today. Now, with all that being said, that doesn't mean I'm sitting here in a Teddy Fresh hoodie with my hands in my pocket, listening to Corpse Husband music while I watch Dream Play Minecraft, complaining about the past. What I'm watching today is actually kind of similar to what I used to watch. It's just changed. For example, Michael Reeves, about every other year or so, realizes he's running low on cash again, so he makes another video. And when he makes those videos, they're really good, they're really entertaining, and they're really funny.
So just put your hand out. Could you just put your hand out above the thing? Well, fuck. Oh, cut. You're clearly make another incision to plug the hole with the knife.
And he also makes me feel bad because he's so much younger than me, but so much smarter than me at the same time.
Does it work? Does it work? I don't know if it works. I haven't turned it on yet.
Pay Money Wubby has been around the block when it comes to YouTube content. At one point in time, he was doing unboxing videos, he was doing commentary videos, and now he's a streamer. But he's also just very, very funny, very naturally funny.
Are you and Alex married?
No.
Really?
What do you want from me? What do you want from me over there? What? Speak your mind, Wendy.
That is not true.
Ah! What the fuck, Wendy? We told you. Let's talk about that real quick, Alex.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
She's lying.
I've never seen a Twitch streamer whose highlight channel I liked watching as much as his. At some point in time, I do actually want to do a video probably on the main channel about how underrated I think Pay Money Wubby is. He's done some really, really interesting and really funny stuff. One of my favorite things, as well as I believe one of Wubby's most proud things he's been able to do, is his live streamed version of his parody of The Price is Right, called The Price is Scuffed. And he's done this, I think, 3 times now, and each time it's gotten much bigger and much higher level of production. The last time actually even featured Amaranth and Jay Schlatt. Speaking of which, Jay Schlatt.
Yes.
While I know his sense of humor is clearly not for everybody, I personally find him very funny, and there's plenty of people obviously who agree. I'd say he has a fairly dark or edgy sense of humor, but at the same time, he does seem to know, for the most part, where that line is that you can't really cross. I want to say it was summer of 2021 that Jay Schlatt became a member of Mizkif's OTK group, and I remember he actually started doing videos with Mizkif that were very similar to me, and that's because they actually were old Calchop formats that I hadn't seen anyone do in a similar fashion before. Calchop had this kind of improv comedy thing that they did where they would like search up a random topic on YouTube and just kind of see where it took them, and it was a lot of fun when they did it right. The episodes obviously would be really hit or miss because sometimes you're just not going to find anything that's super interesting, and it all depends on them as being improv comedians more or less to be entertaining. Well, Jay Schlatt and Mizkif both did this on OTK. I think there's been a couple of videos like this now. But there was another series on Calchop as well where the hosts would buy each other presents on Amazon, and it was basically improv prop comedy. Now, I'm not saying there's a problem with the fact that they took the format of a dead channel and they're copying it. I'm actually happy to see it because I like the content. And it turns out there's a really good reason for why this happened. Turns out one of the former members of Calchop, Trevor, actually is now working with Jay Schlatt and Mizkif. And that kind of brings me back to the beginning with Calchop, because Trevor from Calchop is now working with another former member of Calchop on a channel called Off Canny. Off Canny is a channel started by former Calchop members Jacob and Alec. Alec at one point decided he was done with it, he couldn't handle it for whatever reason, and decided it was time for him to leave the channel, leaving Jacob by himself. Jacob worked with another former member of Calchop for a brief period of time, and unfortunately they didn't work out either. Now he's working with Trevor, who is a former member of Calchop. So the entire channel's history is actually all Calchop members. Now the great thing about this channel though is that it doesn't do Calchop style content. It's almost like going and trying a new career every video, and it's been really great to watch them collaborate with guys like Jay Schlatt.
Oh, he's got it. Oh my God, that was hot.
This is getting super gay. This is getting so gay.
No.
No one here's fucking, right? Everyone knows that? Look, can we...
Knock it till you try. We shall see.
I mean, we shot.
This is what happens when you get people off Craigslist.
Pay Money Wubby.
Bro, it's a disaster over here.
Did you just look down at yourself and say it's a disaster over here?
And Too Mad.
Oh, fuck yeah, that felt awesome.
Too Mad is also another creator who should probably be on this list of creators that does this kind of content in 2022. Look, obviously it's just a fact of life that times and people are going to change, so we have to adapt as an audience and as creators. Everybody has to adapt to ever-changing landscapes and ever-changing times and people's sensibilities. It does suck, but at the same time, it makes sense. It's great that we do still have some people left that make the kind of content I used to like to watch, especially people that were originally involved in making the content, as a matter of fact. But it's great that there's still an evolution happening to the platform, even if it's not what we expect. Now, there's probably a lot of people that I didn't put on this list that I really should have, like Raka, but it's not supposed to be like a 4-hour video, and there's only so much I can do.
Please don't miss. You'll be okay.
Oh, shit! Whoa! Bro, do you think you can shoot that fucking plane out of the sky?
I can try.
If I decide to make a main channel video, it'll be a lot more in-depth and talk about the content today more than talking about the old school content maybe. Or maybe I'll do a two-part and do both. Anyway, if you've got somebody that you used to like watching back in the day that like they're dead and gone, they've moved on, whatever, and today you found something that's kind of a similar replacement, or if you know of somebody similar to the kind of content I'm talking about here, let me know, because I'm really genuinely interested. There's a lot of content out there that I'm not aware of, and I don't really have a whole lot of time to just mindlessly scroll and filter through like random threads of YouTube anymore like I used to when I was young. And like I said earlier, I don't think the algorithm really allows you to just randomly fall into click holes like you used to be able to the way it used to work. But anyway, thanks for watching. My name is Jaker. I'll see you next time.
You're an asshole, internet one way. I never fucking liked you.